Well, and we've been following, I've been very closely following this QAnon, and I started it when the executive order came out on the 21st, which was really, just a few days ago. This executive order suddenly appears, President Trump signs it, and he says that this is against international trafficking, human rights violations, and the executive order declares that a national emergency exists, that a state of national emergency exists. It's not only that we have the Treasury Department has the right to confiscate the assets of those involved in human rights trafficking, but also that the state of emergency is in place, which means we're under martial law for this category of offenses. And then QAnon links it to Eric Schmidt, and Eric Schmidt resigns the same day that from Alphabet, as head of Alphabet, the same day that this executive order is coming out, and they're linked because you see the extensive funding and involvement. QAnon did this long narrative which we decoded, and it was clear that part of that narrative, central to it, was the fact that Eric Schmidt had funded Hillary, run her IT department, was involved very deeply in this crowd. And
that ties into Pakistan.
Right, ties into Pakistan. All this ties into the entire development of the Russian collusion narrative.
This is important. It's very important. It's as important as World War II, quite frankly. Globalism, as you know, and we're a best-selling author working with Lou Dobbs with the #1 show on TV at the time, exposing that. And now here we are from being voices in the wilderness, myself, Ron Paul, Matt Drudge, so many others, President Trump 30 years ago, 29 years ago, whatever, writing op-eds against NAFTA and GATT. I mean, here we all are, and now we're moving into the position of not being in control, but getting some of the tentacles off the throat of America. And we see life coming back in, and we see the globalists panicking, and we see now the emails of Aberdeen coming out, confirming that she had classified info and that Hillary lied. I mean, you can see that Trump has taken the gloves off. He's known for that. I think he gave Hillary and the globalists their chance to kind of, like Napoleon, go to the island of Alba. But I think, like Napoleon, they came back. And so this time, they're going to get locked up for real. Give us your analysis and where this is going. Trump is at war with the swamp. He's hired some swamp creatures to be his guides, but all I care about is results. We're getting unprecedented results. And quite frankly, I'm surprised how much results Trump's gotten. This is quite a turnabout here.
Well, and we've been following, I've been very closely following this QAnon, and I started it when the executive order came out on the 21st, which was really, just a few days ago. This executive order suddenly appears, President Trump signs it, and he says that this is against international trafficking, human rights violations. And the executive order declares that a national emergency exists, that a state of national emergency exists. It's not only that we have the Treasury Department has the right to confiscate the assets of those involved in human rights trafficking, but also that the state of emergency is in place, which means we're under martial law for this category of offenses. And then QAnon links it to Eric Schmidt, and Eric Schmidt resigns the same day that from Alphabet, as head of Alphabet, the same day that this executive order is coming out, and they're linked because you see the extensive funding and involvement. QAnon did this long narrative which we decoded, and it was clear that part of that narrative, central to it, was the fact that Eric Schmidt had funded Hillary, run her IT department, was involved very deeply in this crowd. And
that ties into Pakistan.
Right, ties into Pakistan. All this ties into the entire development of the Russian collusion narrative. Now, what it looks like, and we've been able to confirm a variety of things from the QAnon. I mean, this national.
Well, let me just say this to stop you, and I'm going to hold you in the next segment. Let me just say this to stop you.
Right.
I mean, you've been at the highest levels of banking, friends with Donald Trump. You've got all your own CIA connections. So do I. The reason QAnon's so important is much of what he's saying is the same intel we're getting. Precisely. And so, and then it's gotten attention, so it's a way to focus people. And we're not lessening QAnon or 8chan or the rest of it, but This is a real executive order. And as you said, a lot of my listeners went, Alex, this is martial law, this executive order. Well, we're under globalist attack. They've seized the country. He's cutting your taxes. He's securing the borders. He's taking care of the veterans. He's trying to take care of old people. He's getting rid of Obamacare, meant to screw you over. When you're in a war, it's martial law against the globalists. If they start using it against the people, I'll go ape. That's not what's happening. We're under globalist foundation control. And if Trump's going to take the gloves off when deep state's openly saying kill him, and he's got to get geared up to do this, cutting off Saudi Arabia, going and making them make a deal, cutting off the Clintons and globalist money, that's where it was coming from. That's what Vegas was about. I have my own military intelligence and CIA sources that are saying on air, like Zach, and I'm not going to say his real name, obviously, Zach's his first name, who are giving us the exact same intel before QAnon. So all I'm saying is we're confirming what QAnon's saying from our own sources, and it's incredibly bold.
Well, and also I think, QAnon is clearly an intelligence source of one kind or another as inside information. I mean, I'm able to decode it from the background I've got in intelligence, but QAnon is validating, Alex, the things that you've been saying for years. And, that's where the affinity comes. There's background here that validates all the points that you've been making about the globalists. The martial law is here. That martial law was declared in that executive order, and Trump is going after the money of human rights violators. I mean,
which again, explain, that's the main funding of the globalist system. Explain that.
Yeah, well, that's the key. I mean, the whole funding, this whole pedophilia, and I mean, you were pounded months ago for going after this, but I think now it's going to be validated. You're going to be vindicated in 2018 because this whole pedophilia network, which is billions and billions of dollars, has been intertwined in Wall Street. It's intertwined in the news media and Hollywood. You see it in the political circles. And I think Donald Trump's going after it. I mean, and it is validation. I wanted to point out, I was able to validate that this Arizona National Guard unit has just been moved from Phoenix. They moved about 4 dozen soldiers, part of the 850 unit National Guard, which are military police battalion, have just been moved to Gitmo. And that's after you had Secretary of Defense Mattis visit Gitmo. You've had Attorney General Sessions visit Gitmo. I mean, clearly something is going on, and this executive order is a clear declaration that we are in a state of emergency, which gives the powers of the presidency really exceptional characteristics and abilities.
And let's be clear. The Democrats, people say, Alex, you're the one that always warned of this. Now you're for it. The Democrats have announced we want a state of emergency. We want civil unrest. We want Trump arrested or killed. We want to kill all the Republicans. #kill Republicans. They're building towards this emergency, as they said, in December. So Trump put this in with the intel to basically block their funding. He already cut off Saudi Arabia. So again, folks, he's blocking them with the executive power. They're wrongly trying to launch this without executive power as a rogue group. Clearly, this is what's happening. And the word is that what we're seeing with QAnon and my other sources that are confirmed, high-level Army Special Operations Command, you name it, is that what we're seeing from QAnon is warnings to Hillary and warnings to Soros that you're going to be in Gitmo if you keep pushing it. Not that they're actually going to be going there. Go ahead.
Well, and also, Alex, I want to point out that the 2 gentlemen who run the QAnon in 8chan,
we've had them on.
Also on the Reddit, the subreddit, which is the calm before the storm, CBTS_stream, came on the show came on your show last week and spent a good deal of time and it was all over the subreddit. You just calm before the storm /stream and with hundreds of responses to it, a couple hundred that I read. So you see the QAnon is acknowledging that in fact you, Alex, have been ahead of the curve and that your audience is ahead of the curve.
Well, exactly. It's not about you. And I know you're just pointing out we've been right. But again, it's not about us. I'm just pointing out this is real. We've had Phil Mudd, the former head of counterterrorism, saying we're going to kill the president on CNN. I mean, they did that to rally their troops to say, I mean, what's the word, though? Because the last 5 days, they have been signaling that they're backing off. They crapped their pants after this executive order. McCabe announced he's resigning, leaving. Schmidt, I mean, they're really signaling that they're scared.
Well, I think what we're seeing is this is the beginning of the Trump counterattack. And it has, I think, two elements to it. One is you see Trump very effectively working now with Congress. Nunes in the Senate. You're going to see Gowdy and Jim Jordan in the House, who are going to press these issues of McCabe and Strzok and all the holdovers from Obama that were really determined to run a very biased FBI and Department of Justice that was going to excuse Hillary of everything and go after Trump on fake charges of this whole Russian collusion issue. Now, what you've got in this, what you've got going on, I think extremely here, is that Trump is saying, I've had enough of it. And what he's going to do is he's going to counterattack. He's going to say, I'm coming after you, and we're going to get the money. The money is going to be the #1 target, and the money is, I think, cut off is going to severely limit the ability of the deep state to operate.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm not mad at myself, but when I read the executive order last week, I said, this is martial law, and I understood what the president was doing, and I meant to come on air and say it's basically financial martial law against multinational combines and these big foundations. And then I just never came on air and did it. But Corsi is now breaking it down, and we really are under a civil emergency. A national emergency has been declared by President Trump. But the globalists were announcing they want their own national emergency and to take Trump out. So it's very constitutional what he's doing as president when an outside group is doing this, and he's only targeting them. And he went and made deals with Saudi Arabia to cut off the funding to the globalists. Big things are happening. This is so epic, I can't believe it. And everything Trump's doing is delivering power back to the people as he pledged a year and 11 days ago, or no, 11 months and 11 days ago, or whatever it was, on January 20th, 2017. So as we end the year, got about 4 minutes left, Dr. Corsi. This is so epic. This is so big. This is so huge.
Well, I think, you see, first of all, with Saudi Arabia, it's Donald Trump visited Saudi Arabia, and then very quickly after that, the prince begins to round up all of the key operatives in Saudi Arabia and takes their money, confiscates their money. Alaweed, who was very, very
the main funder of Obama and Hillary, and now it's happening here.
And in this recent executive order, and what the Treasury came out with in an annex, the people they're going after, the vast majority of them have deep ties to the Clinton Foundation, have deep ties to the Clinton Global Initiative. These are international criminals that engaged in a variety of activities, including human rights abuses and human trafficking. Now, if Donald Trump is going after the money again, this is fun. This is, warfare. This is a clear indication that Donald Trump understands the deep state's use of money and their corruption in human resources. You're going to see millionaires suddenly leave the United States without explanation. You're going to see CEOs resigning without explanation. You're going to see suicides occur. This is going to be massive, I believe, and I think it's already started. And Donald Trump is in a counterattack. 2018 is going to be the year of Donald Trump's counterattack.
Well, there's the headline on this epic live interview, radio TV. I'm gonna have it posted with that very headline, that 2018 is the year of Donald Trump's counterattack. That's so sensational and true, but I mean, it's even more sensational. He's declared civil emergency to actually block them before they declare the civil emergency outside of law and cut their money off, and he's done it. I mean, can you believe we've been so used to corruption and evil to now actually see a very pragmatic kind of JFK-style tax plan that's actually for the people? I mean, I am just so proud that we backed Trump, Corsi.
Well, this is Donald Trump's the chief executive. He understands this is the first time we really had a president who's going to use the enormous powers of the presidency for eliminating corruption, not for advancing corruption.
They fired every lobbyist. He actually fired all lobbyists. That's why they're pissed. There's no lobbyists there giving him ideas.
He fired the whole section of the HIV/AIDS group that was in the White House. Just got rid of them, the whole group. He's firing left and right, not hiring in the State
Even
Department.
CNN admitted that he has massively cut the government.
Yes.
Except for Veterans Affairs and the military.
And the presidency has enormous powers. He's using them on executive orders to eliminate what he can of the government regulations, and now he's going to go after human rights violations, which is going to be epic.
I'm so excited. The new product at InfoWarsLife.com in a glass bottle, 2-month servings, filled to the brim, filled to the absolute top, the real red pill. This is a heart and brain pill, a nootropic that doesn't have any stimulants in it. But boy, does it stimulate, because it's beyond that. Quite frankly, I just went off what I saw medical doctors prescribing to their patients, but it wasn't prescription, but they were charging people $100, $200 for the formulae. And I came up with our own formula, working with some scientists and developers, non-GMO, made right here in America, 120 capsules. And ladies and gentlemen, you add the pregnenolone to it, which is the precursor to all the hormones that your body has to have to even make the hormones in your glands. It is amazing. Red pill, now available at InfoWarsStore.com, and your purchase funds the operation.